All right, we're live. Welcome to the Kingdom REI live webinar. You too, you're here first as we welcome our attendees, our guests for today. Man, we got a jam up show. Two incredible real estate experts coming on today, and the topic. Sorry, I'm live on both ends over here. So listen, we got just two incredible guests. A really advanced webinar today, talking about how to grow your real estate portfolio by building high performance teams. And the two guys that we're bringing in today, Logan and Zach, are young guys, under 40. That's young, and under 40, and they have built their portfolios to over $100 million literally in 2 years. And a lot of that they give credit to their team. And so today we're talking about really how to grow and scale fast through building your team. And so this is the Kingdom REI live webinar. Welcome if this is your first time here. Really excited that your Kingdom REI is a real estate mastermind for faith-driven leaders. And we have members all across the country, and really our goal is to glorify God, to serve others through the vehicle of real estate. And we do that inside of our community with joint venture partnerships. We have members who are raising money, who find deals, and we work together to collaborate so that we can grow and scale our companies together. If you're interested in that, thekingdomrei.com is where you want to go to learn more about our mastermind, thekingdomrei.com. And we do this every single week for business owners like yourself. So welcome here today. I see you guys. Gabe, what's up, man? So listen, a couple things I want to share before we bring in Logan. Logan's going to join in before we bring in Zach, that have helped me as a business owner. And by the way, if you have questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat today. If you have questions for Logan or Zach or myself about building high performance teams, want to make sure we get to those questions today. So put those in the chat. But here's a couple things that have really, one book in particular, and if you haven't read this, I highly recommend it. It's called Vivid Vision. Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold. He is he's the COO of 1-800 Got Trash or Got Junk, right? And here's why this book was so helpful for me, because as a leader and really thinking about building high performance teams, part of having a team is delegating. And so often what I found myself doing, and type in the chat if you do the same thing, I expected something from my teammates, or I expected something from the people that were working for me at my level, right? At the quality that I expected it. But I had never laid out my vivid vision, the vision I wanted them to accomplish. Like, they never really saw the end goal or the big picture. And so I had this expectation I was placing on them, but they really didn't see the big picture of what we were trying to accomplish. It's like that story where, there's three bricklayers, and the man comes and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" He says, I'm laying bricks. The second man says, "I'm building a wall." And the third man says, "I'm building a cathedral that hundreds, if not thousands, of people will worship in one day." It's all about vision. And so, wherever you're at in your business today, thinking about building high performance teams, if there was a nugget that I wanted to give before Logan, before Zach join in today, is that, man, vision is so key to really building high performance teams. And you, as the business owner, as the business leader, must lead in vision, right? This is not something that you can just put off. Like, I think it is one of the key, and I did this. Like, this is a learning curve for me. And so I love doing this webinar, because I get to share the things I'm learning. I get to learn from you and from our guest speakers. Vision is one of the things that every business owner must start with. Andy, welcome, brother. Just talking about how important it is to lead with vision in your company, and people know where it is. So get that book, Vivid Vision. The other thing I'm reading right now is a book called Traction, and we're going to learn a lot. If we have some time today, I'll show you what a level 10 meeting looks like. I see Bill Smith on here, a traction expert. But one of the first I'm working through this book kind of systematically right now. But one of the things Traction's allowing me to do, along with Vivid Vision, is core values. And so again, like we're talking all about, I want to help you create high functioning teams so you can go crush it in 2021. But I'm just telling you what I'm learning right now. I can't begin to go build a high functioning team, a high performing team, until I first laid out my vivid vision of what I want to accomplish, so that people, when I give them a task, they know the quality and expectation of that. And they also understand our values, our core values. So for example, one of the core values in Kingdom REI, which, by the way, let me hear your favorite core value in your company. If you have them, type them in the chat. Actually, I moved it number 2. It probably could be number 1, but we moved it to number 2. Number 2 is this: done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect is our number 2 core value, because in our company and what we do, speed is important. And one under that core value is let's fail faster than everyone else. So for example, we had this idea to do this webinar, this weekly series. We didn't have all the pieces in place. We're like, listen, set the date, get our first guest, let's buy the software, and let's roll. Because we didn't know if this was going to work out. We had no idea if people were going to show up. But one of our core values is done is better than perfect. Let's launch. We can optimize as we go. And so that might not work for you, but that's a core value for us. And so that just means I want people to, let's go. Don't wait. If you have the idea to execution is so key. So that's one of my favorite core values of us. Let me hear you guys. Anybody? Oscar, welcome in. Yes, glad that you're here. Bethany, so I'm so glad to hear that you accepted that. That literally is like one of the things, like if you want to be off our team really soon, is just take a long time to do things. Because it's all about speed. And in this day and age, in a lot of ways, Kingdom REI is kind of a content company. I mean, that's really what we are. We create a ton of content for business leaders like yourself, and our offer is our mastermind. And so in a world where there's just so much content, and think about this in your own company, this is probably true as well. If you're an investor and you're trying to raise money for deals, you cannot put enough content out. And so idea to execution, go create that book, I wrote my book. I don't tell many people this, but I wrote it in one afternoon. And then we hired an editor, we got it up, because speed really does matter. So it's one of our favorite core values, is done is better than perfect. The reason I share this again is because I'm trying to build a high functioning team that understands what's important to me as the leader, so that we can go and win together. Really want to win in 2021. And so I want to help you all win in 2021 as well. So welcome, man. We got a great crew already. We have 2 business leaders coming in today. For those who are just joining in, Logan Freeman and Zach Happenstall. Logan's based out of Kansas City. Zach is based out of Phoenix. These guys have absolutely come out of the scene just firing in the last 2 years. Even through COVID, Zach has built his assets under management to over $150 million in 2 years. And a lot of what he credits is just building a high performing team, a team that they're on the same page with, that everyone knows their roles. And so that's what I want to help you do today, is figure out how you too can go do this. Because here's what I've learned, and I'm just getting excited. So I might even stand up today because I love this topic. As investors, as real estate investors, what I see often is nobody went to school. If you went to school to be a real estate professional, drop in the chat. I'll Venmo you money right now, because most of the people that I know who got into real estate, except my cousin Ken, he to develop is a little bit different. But most investors, they do a deal, they realize this is an incredible vehicle to build wealth through, and they want to grow and scale. But the turning point I don't see many investors taking, right, that gets them over the 100 million mark and on their way to $1 billion of assets, is they don't build teams. They don't treat their portfolio or their real estate activity like a business. How many of you are guilty of that? Right? That you want to grow and scale your real estate portfolio, but you don't treat it like a business. You see everything as kind of a one-off deal, and you're not building teams and systems around what you're trying to accomplish. And so, seriously, and I'd love to hear who in the chat thinks they could grow faster if they had better systems, processes, team members. Let me see in the chat, by the way, how many people are on your team How many people on your team? Make sure you're responding to all panels and attendees. I'd love to see how many people are on your team, just so we know who we're speaking with today. So Bethany said one of our biggest core values is people first, profit second. And sometimes that means we let people go faster because we want to keep the relationship more than we want to get some money in our pockets or theirs. I love that. So people first, profit second. Yep, that's great. Bethany has 25 people. Ken has 7. Excellent. Excellent. So there's some real businesses here today. I'm excited about that. So let me I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Bill Smith, you there? Type in the chat if you're there. I want to bring you up real quick while we wait on Logan. Bill, if you're there, what's up, man? Let me bring you on here.
How's it going?
Bill, how we doing?
I'm good.
Welcome to the Kingdom REI Live, man.
Yeah, no, I missed it last week, and then this came up. I got something else conflicting, but I decided they were late, so I jumped in on this one because I just wanted to see what you were doing. You're doing exciting stuff, so I always want to learn.
Yeah, well, tell us some of your questions about building teams or even experience building teams, and questions you have today, man, about really leadership and building high performance teams. Anything you would add to this topic or questions that you have?
No, I think you really hit it pretty good. I mean, I've not built a lot of teams just on the real estate teams and structuring. We built teams in our company. We support the real estate industry. We built teams in previous lives and managed teams, and now I'm looking to build a real estate team and do this. And so I've been up on the wall, then back on the wall, and did some offers, and they fell through. So we're just I got a couple of people, but I want to learn about building more teams. So that's why I thought this would be a good topic to join.
Yeah, and I mean it's so true, man. Like it's so weird. I don't know why we don't think of our real estate portfolios a lot like our businesses, right? Where I mean, where there's a lot of experienced business owners on this call who are maybe investing in real estate, but for some reason that we miss that connection at times. I don't know if it's because it's an investment, but I'm telling you, the ones I see who are really growing and doing it well are treating it much like a business.
Well, that's absolutely right. We had that in our multifamily group here in Raleigh recently, and it's like we're talking about building a team. And one thing is just it's a business. I mean, you got to schedule one. I mean, you're running a business. What do you think of investing in real estate? So you've got to look at all the aspects and all the team members and account. Internal partners and external partners. So really, you have to think about it that way. And most people don't. They just, let's buy something and get some, rent payments. But if you get a bigger property, you get more and you get more doors. It's one thing if you're just a little investor, but you get more doors. It's a serious business.
Yeah. Bill, thanks for being here, man. I'm going to show actually something that our team uses for our level 10. And Pete, if you would, man, make sure you let me know when Logan gets here. I don't want to keep talking and waste our great time with Logan, and follow up with him because he should be here by now, if you don't mind, Pete. So let me show this and talking about how to go to the next level with you. And by the way, welcome to the Kingdom REI Live webinar. We do this every single week for business owners in the real estate industry. Kingdom REI is a Christian organization. We have a mastermind for faith-driven leaders who are in the world of investing, mostly in the world of commercial syndication, joint venture partnerships, just an incredible community. And we really come together to help grow our own businesses through joint venture collaborations. If you're interested in that, thekingdomrei.com. So let me show this, Oscar, because I think you're going to really be helped by this. So you're talking, say, Oscar said, I recently started my own capital company. I want to learn more about structuring my company and run my team. Oscar, if it's just you, or if you have 5 people, and it sounds like right now it's just you getting started, here's what I would highly recommend for anyone who's listening. So Ken has 25 people. Oscar, you're a one-man show. Jeremy says, look at that beautiful scorecard. My business partner at Symphony is with me. Jeremy, let me actually let Jeremy talk with me, because if he can, Jeremy, I'm going to bring you up here too, because and Logan just joined, so I want to be quick. But welcome, Jeremy. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. So Jeremy, I want to explain this. I want you to talk about the importance of this scorecard for us. And Oscar, make sure you pay attention to this, because what this is a scorecard that tracks performance for everyone in our organization. And I would say, if you're a one person show, I still think having a scorecard and looking at it every single week is so important, because this just keeps us accountable to the goals that we have set for ourselves individually. And especially as your organization grows, right? There's 4 of us in this group. How do I know if Jeremy's doing what he's doing? How does Jeremy know I'm being accountable to what I'm doing? So, Jeremy, anything you would add to this scoreboard, or maybe how we use this? Can you talk about how we use this scoreboard?
Yeah, for sure. It's basically, boiled down quickly from like a quarterly view. We rotate this out every 90 days because things change in business all the time. But what the scorecard does is makes us meet weekly, and we have a 90-minute meeting. We go through all of our scorecard items here to really stay focused and, what issues need the most attention. So these are what you call kind of like these rocks that help move the business forward, and they can change up every quarter, but really this is what makes a big impact in our day-to-day business.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can see, like, and what Jeremy just said, it also shows like where where are we struggling? Like, what do we need to focus on? Because let's just say, for example, I'm crushing it and a lot of money's coming in, but we're not finding many deals, which has been our issue, by the way. So an issue then for our company is say, okay, we really this quarter need to double down on getting more deal flow, because we're hitting our numbers on capital raising, we're meeting new investment partners, but we're really not finding enough opportunities for these capital partners. So what do we do? So this scoreboard also just helps us determine issues. So really, really great. And yes, by the way, just if you're looking at the scoreboard and this is confusing even how to make this, I would this is the importance of having a team, because Jeremy is like Excel master and like traction, a guru. I'm not. So when we said, hey, we need a scoreboard, and it was like, okay, Jeremy, see you next week with our scoreboard. I just showed up and this was available to me, right? So all that to say is this is also the importance of having a team and team members who complement your skills, because I just want to get on the phone and talk with people, where Jeremy can build something that really helps us and moves us forward. So you're welcome, Oscar. Jeremy, thanks, man, for being here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think our first guest is in the building, and I am excited to bring him up. This guy is absolutely on a tear right now. He is a former NFL player. He will actually. I'm not. Actually, I don't want to talk trash to Logan. He might beat me up next time I see him in person. He's a lot bigger than me. But let me just say this: he's also just an incredibly humble dude. He loves the Lord, and he is Mr. Kansas City is his name on LinkedIn, and he is really doing amazing things in that city, both on the brokerage side and the investment acquisition side. And Logan, I'm excited to bring you up here, man. Let me promote you to panelist, and let's get going.
Hey guys,
there he is.
Just testing out the video and audio. How we doing?
Hey man, doing well. Welcome.
All right, welcome. Sorry about the little technology hiccup we had. I must have had the wrong link. I was sitting here ready to roll, bring the fire, and now I'm 9 minutes behind. So Ellis, how much time do I have? Because
how much time do you have? Because we go for 90 minutes. So, but we do have another guest coming. But how long do you have?
Yeah, I've got plenty of time as well. So
okay.
We should be okay. I just wanted to make sure that way I'm not infringing on Zach's time as well.
No, Zach will be good, and we can bring Zach up here too, because I think both of you, when Zach gets here, because both of you guys are what you're doing in separate. What I love about both of you guys, man, is not, oh, you're in a hot market. Actually, you guys are in totally different markets. Zach's in Phoenix, one of the most expensive markets in the country. You're in Kansas City, which is in the Midwest.
Yep.
Both on a tear. So, Logan, let's first talk just who you are, brother, what you're focused on in Kansas City, and then the topic of the day, of course, is building high-performance teams and how that's resulted in the success you guys have had there in Kansas City.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm a child of God, and I try to remind myself that every single day, and it's very important to keep rooted in that faith. especially when you get into the business of finance and real estate that I'm in. You start seeing some circles that go in the wrong direction. That being said, I think I heard Ellis mention the fact that I'm an ex athlete, and my stint in the NFL was very, very brief. But I took a lot of lessons away
you made
from.
it. There's very few people can say they made it, man. Short or not.
I took a lot of lessons away from athletics that I now apply into our business. And so, I kind of do two things here in Kansas City. On the brokerage side, a lot less than I have been in the past. We're really focused on our own acquisitions and operations of the real estate that we own and operate here in Kansas City. So very similar to you, we are real estate owners and syndicators that bring investors opportunities to get access to deal flow that they would not have had otherwise. And we manage the properties, we do the construction, leasing, all of that. We're highly focused on the Midwest. We're starting to kind of trickle out into some other markets that I can still drive to, but all of our holdings, which is, close to 1,100 units now, are all here in Kansas City, mostly focused on workforce housing. So Class C apartments where we can really add value to those buildings through an operational efficiency with us managing it, or through cosmetic upgrades. So I'm sure everybody's heard that in the past, but we're a very localized, I would say, group. Our team is 7 strong now, and it will quickly be probably 10 to 11 by the next probably 3 to 4 months, just depending on how we can bring these folks on. So I'm really excited. This topic that we're talking about today, building high performance teams, is one that I've been doing a lot of research, a lot of studying on, and thankfully in my past I've done a lot of leadership reading, and now I'm starting to get actually the ability to utilize a lot of that. So that's who I am. That's what I focus on, Ellis.
So Logan, let's back up a little bit, man, because when we first started chatting, and I knew where you were talking about investing, maybe you had done a few deals.
Yep.
Well, then all of a sudden, dude, you left me in the dust, man. I was like, I feel like a small guy talking to Logan now, and not in stature anymore. And so, but there was something about, the partners you found. And so Oscar, for example, he asked some questions. I think he's a one-man show at the moment. Maybe he's not.
Sure.
I'm just using Oscar as an example. Talk about what made those team members such a good fit for you guys, for you personally, and what were you looking for in kind of your initial team and team members?
Yeah. Well, I think I have to tell a story, and I have to tell a story about a deal that I lost a lot of money on personally. And this goes back close to 2.5 years ago, where beforehand, everything I had touched turned to gold. So I was Mr. Midas, as you may have heard. I had the Midas touch going on in Kansas City. And I found a big deal. I put it under contract. I brought one investor into the project with me. I tried to wear all of the hats. So from acquisition to project management to construction management, leasing, everything. I was trying to do all of this. And when I was chasing all of those rabbits, I caught none of them. And so I had to take a step back. I sat down with my wife, who's very strategic, and she said, well, look, what are your strengths? Where do you focus at that you excel? And I started to dive into that. And I came up with a few kind of processes for myself that allows me to have a mental model to use to then apply to my business. And so the mental model I grasp onto was Strength Finders 2.0. So one of my points here is knowing thyself. But then the second one was the Ikigai. And Ikigai just is a Japanese concept. It's very simple, but it means a reason for being. And it's a Venn diagram, which is the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. And so I took a really deep dive kind of thought process into that, first with myself. And then I said, okay, let me apply this to the commercial real estate world. And what I found were some huge gaps. And at the same time, I was reading Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership. And, he doubles down and says, make your weaknesses your strengths. That's where Jocko and I actually disagree. We disagree on a few things, but in the concept of making my weaknesses my strengths.
I wouldn't tell him that to his face, though. He might, if there's a guy I'm more scared of than you, it would be Jocko, by the way. So.
Well, hopefully I'll get to be on his podcast one day, but I always tell Jocko that he gets up at 4:34 and I have all of his t-shirts. I'm on his t-shirt club. I love it. But I actually get up at 4 o'clock. So if I'm beating Jocko up, I've already got one win for the day. But basically, looked at the Ikigai, and then I applied that to commercial real estate transactions, right? So in commercial real estate transactions, you've got acquisitions, due diligence, you've got debt financing, you've got equity relationships, construction, project management, asset management, reporting, dispositions, accounting. The list continues to go on and on. And so what I took is I took all those tasks and I said, okay, let me layer these on top of the Ikigai model, the mental model or the concept, and let me figure out where my sweet spot is. And I found out that my sweet spot, I heard you speaking to this, that Jeremy is very good in Excel, is not modeling out deals, is not doing accounting and project management. It's focusing on building relationships. And so what I did is I started to put that out in the world. I said, I got this new idea. I'm willing to bring deal flow, investors, and I need partners that can fill those gaps for me. And so that's good in concept, right? That's very complete at the theoretical level, but I needed to make it effective at the applied level. And so what I did was started meeting with people. I met with everybody, it felt like, in Kansas City. And all roads led to these two guys. I said, what you're doing, you have got to meet these two guys that are out there, doing the other pieces that you're not doing. And it's a pretty funny story. I won't bore you guys with it, but it took me 2 or 3 months to get in front of these guys. And once I did, the relationship really started off. But we didn't become friends first. We became business partners first. We tested out kind of our business relationship before the friends piece. But as if anybody knows, I'm big on an individualization. So I have a good read on folks on who they are as individuals. And, I had been doing some projects with some people that, my values didn't really align up on. So I exited those partnerships. So I was very cognizant of the fact that, hey, my values need to be aligned with the people that I'm thinking about doing business with. And so we did a lot of what I would call culture indexes and strengths tests. And Ray Dalio has one of my favorite ones that he just put out. So Ray Dalio, everybody knows he's the CEO of Bridgewater, wrote Principles, but he has a new kind of mission in life to give all of these principles back to people in a digestible way. If you haven't downloaded his app, Principles 2.0, I get one in my email every single day or on the app every single day. And I just get to read that and save them. It's the whole book is on an app, which is incredible. But on top of that, he brought a brand new strengths test where he took all of these other strengths tests, combined them, probably spent millions of dollars to do this. And then, got the brightest minds. Adam Grant was one of the guys he consulted with on this strengths test and brought that in. And so I had all of us take that test. And what we found was very interesting. There's different islands on this test that you can take. And the islands are really, really cool. So it'll help you understand kind of where you stand. If you're an architect, a creator, or an advocate. Well, turns out I'm the advocate, Parker is the creator, and Corey is the architect. We didn't have any overlapping strengths. And now that didn't just happen by happenstance. It was kind of intuitive for me. But when we actually put it on paper, we saw, holy cow, now we understand from a principle standpoint why we all work so well together. And so that's the first piece that I'll just say, and I'll let you ask some questions on that, Ellis.
No, that's excellent. I mean, I love that, and you guys got very lucky that there was that, but I think I wrote those down, Principles 2.0 and the strengths test there, to really do that test. Or even if you're not going to do it with your members, do that for yourself. So, know, here's what I bring to the table. And here's then what I need. I know I need Jeremy. Like I actually really don't want to do deals anymore without Jeremy, because I have questions. There are things that I am not doing enough for my investors if I don't have Jeremy on my team, because there's a level of which I can't bring a level of professionality without a guy like Jeremy. So I think knowing that about yourself is really key.
Yeah, it's crucial. And Ray calls these leveragers, and leveragers are people who can go from conceptual to practical effectively and do most to get your concepts implemented. I have a lot of great ideas, okay? But I don't necessarily always understand how that's actually going to work in the business. And what I found was leveragers with Parker and Corey, because they've done this before. They think differently. They have different experiences than I do. They have a better background in finance and economics, all of these different things. And so they were able to take those conceptual ideas that sometimes feel, a little outlandish, and then bring them back down to the world and say, this is actually how we can go implement that, or this is a really bad idea. And so, how to do more than what we think is a puzzle that I think we all struggle with.
So
And
Logan, to be more
Sure.
and by the way, if there's people who have questions, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to type them in the chat and let us answer some of these. But let me ask you a question while
Sure.
I got you. How do you like to go from, okay, you found this team, you guys are partners in this. So it's not like
Yep.
it's not like they're your assistants, they're actual partners.
Oh, yeah.
It does help that you have different strengths. But how do you so I just showed like our level 10 meeting. What do you guys do on a weekly or on a regular basis to just make sure everyone is literally staying in their lane, and you're going to stay focused on what you're doing there, he's like, and that it really becomes result oriented,
Sure.
or result focused? How do you bring that in so that everyone's on the same page and they're doing what they're supposed to?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's three ways. You first off, you have to have fewer things to do and prioritizing them. So we have to say no to a lot of things. And I have ideas, the other guys have ideas, and thankfully we have a relationship based off of radical transparency where it's like, no, that's not what we should be focused on right now. So that's the first part. The second part is when we first got started, Ellis, we didn't stay in our own lanes. We were all over the place. And that's kind of hamstringed us for a certain amount of time. But then we started to say, okay, what are our lanes, exactly, and where should we be focused on? And we started to delegate. That's when we started to actually hire people out, and so that was very, very important. I think that's what helped us improve our productivity. But to answer your question directly, I would say this: we spend a lot of time together. Okay, we are face to face, spending a lot of time together in a lot of different environments, working out, hiking, going to our private club, having a drink together, meeting our wives, meeting each other's children, going to events together. And so it's not just this silo where we're just kind of on Zoom or on phone calls all the time. It's face to face, and you get to see how people are feeling. You get to read their body language, what's stressing them out, what's not stressing them out, where are they enjoying their, spending their time. And so I think that we have regular check-ins, right? So they used to not be scheduled. They have to be scheduled now. But at any given time, we have 2 to 4 hours of time where there's really no agenda. There's some topics that we need to cover, but there's really not any agenda. And it's mostly just a check-in, and that's weekly. So we spend a lot of time outside of the office. I'm in our new office that we're purchasing, but we spend outside of the office. We get outside and we just try to, get a read on how each person is doing. Intangibly, that turns into items that need to be taken care of, or items that need to be addressed. But it's more of a approach that is not as strategic, I would say, but maybe it is strategic. I don't know. But we spend a ton of time together, and that allows us to kind of really start to feel how each person is doing, and then we make adjustments based off of that. And then that radical transparency piece, man. I mean, if I've got an issue with something, I don't just put it under the rug. It's out there, it's open. I'm bringing it up, and everybody feels like they can bring something up to them. So that's how we approach that. I don't think it's as robust as it might be in the future, but it's more of an organic kind of situation. But it comes down to just spending a lot of time together right now.
So look, and I'm trying to kind of dig into this a little bit, because I feel like, man, there was a turning point for you guys, and maybe you answer it in some of these, like getting more face to face, and maybe you just say that was the answer. But you talked about you guys were kind of flailing in the beginning, but can you look back now that you guys have done several assets and say this is when things started to click that would be applicable to people who are watching? Because Ken's got 7 employees, Bethany's got 25. There are people who are members. Even our team, Symphony, we're still waiting for something to really click. What was it that really clicked? Can you identify some of the things that you guys begin to do that helps you really catch momentum and start, doing multiple deals a month? Really it seems like what you guys are up to right now.
Absolutely. There was definitely a turning point. The first one being implementing Gino Wickman's traction book, right? So the entrepreneurial operating system, running every single meeting off of that, having a goal, a purpose, and a strategy to get there in every single meeting. So it's being very intentional. The second piece was having a defined investment thesis and staying in that circle of competency. Meaning there's a lot of historic readaptive use projects we could go chase right now. There's a lot of neighborhood retail office that we could go chase right now. But guess what? What is the market asking for? What is our investors asking for? It's workforce housing. It's value add multifamily. So let's focus most of our attention on that. And then the third was COVID-19, right? It said, okay, we've read Charlie Munger. We've read Warren Buffett. We read Howard Marks on a regular basis. What do they all say? Sam Zell, same thing. When everybody's looking right, you got to go left. And so when everybody was sitting on the sidelines last year, we doubled down. And like your buddy, Grant Cardone would say, we took 10X action. So we took 10X action, not only on putting our necks out on the line and doing deals, but we also took 10X action on building the infrastructure to support that underneath us. And so when we did all three of those things, that combined, I feel like was the recipe for success that just allowed us to kind of hit that hockey stick growth.
Wow, that's excellent. I want to repeat that. Traction, again, that was exactly what I was showing before this, our level 10 meetings, going through that. I highly recommend. By the way, how early did y'all set core values in your company?
Yeah, I mean, it was the first week of traction, right? I mean, I remember it was probably March of last year, right?
Do you come back to them often? How often do you look, can you state them? Do you know them? I'm curious, actually, seriously.
Absolutely. So the first one is staying entrepreneurial and lean. The second one is always having our investors' interests in mind. And the way that we say that is never do a deal that you wouldn't do, right? So don't just use your investors' capital to do a project just to do a project. The third one is shark pack. I know that sounds a little bit funny, but when you think about sharks being out in the ocean and they're preying on the smaller fish, I think that all three of us could have our own firms separate from FTW. But when we put all three of them together, it allowed for a pack. So 1 + 1 didn't equal 2, it equaled 3, And so that's our third one. The fourth one, radical transparency, right? So, hey, if you can't take constructive criticism or feedback, this probably isn't the place for you. And the fifth one is mitigated risk, but also being okay with some risk. And so I think that those are kind of our cores. I've got what I will call, obviously we're part of the same group with Raise Masters. And I took to heart what Cameron Herold said. So entrepreneurial operating system is how you are building what you are building, but it doesn't always tell you what you are building. Sorry about that, guys. My wife is FaceTiming me. And so the EOS or traction is the how. That's the how. That's the blueprint. But the what is the vision. And so I took that, traction document, and then I wrote a vivid vision with my partner's kind of, interests in mind, and made that thing jump off the page, right? It's something that gets our employees excited, something that ggets our principals excited. It's rooted in our why of helping an underserved population, all of those different things. And so I think that, we revisit that. That's going to be plastered up on the wall here very, very soon. But every Monday morning, we bring up we have a document that's pretty similar to what you just showed everybody, and we go over our VTO. And then every quarter, the principals are taking an offsite for 2 to 3 days, typically away from our families, and revisiting all of those values, seeing where we're at with them and what's going on. And so I think that it's right in line. It's in the grain. All of our employees would be able to tell you exactly the way that we function. And it stems from the EOS, but that's kind of how we approach that.
Did you ever do, and this is the last point before I let you go, man, Logan, this has been awesome, dude. I mean, seriously, I've written down notes. It really just, I think for me, solidifies, it takes more, like, it's so easy, man, just to hit the ground and go and oh, I'm doing deals. I need to do a deal. I need to find an investor, and not like, I call this is like the foundation, the glue that holds all of this activity together and just solidifies how we got to continue to commit to this. Did you do any of this, like talk about vision setting before you had this team? I'm just curious, like, for maybe there's a few folks here who have a team yet, but they want to build a team. How important, or did you do any of this, even having a personal vision for your life before building a team?
The mantra here is we're building our business around our life, not our lives around our businesses. So we're building our business around our life. So life, faith, family, that all comes first. And so I think the being on the same page with Parker and Corey before we even, stepped in foot to the EOS was crucial. Well, I remember the day we were still at one of our properties here. We were having an offsite and we just sat down and said, 10 years from now, what does it look like? You trying to build Blackstone, or are you trying to build legacy, kind of a private equity firm that can continue to be passed on to your employees? None of us said, hey, we're trying to build Blackstone. We're not trying to do that. What we're trying to do is give back to our community, live out our phase, but also bring a lot of value to our family. So, I mean, we did that. It wasn't on paper per se until I read, and got to meet Cameron Harold there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it was on the traction. We were all on the same page with that. So we knew exactly where we were going. How we get there is going to be, up and down. However,
Right.
we're all rooted in the same goal. And I think that's crucial, man. I mean, I think it's the glue that keeps us together. I never have to worry about, hey, I wonder if Parker or Corey are working hard today, or, how they're going to react to a certain, scenario. It's just very in tune because we have that vision and our values are set.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Hey, Logan, I'm going to let you go here, man, just to bring on Zach. Todd does have a question in the chat. Maybe
Absolutely.
before you go, you could just type in, a good
100%.
answer to Todd would be awesome.
Happy to do
Logan,
that.
before you get out of here, man, where can people go to learn about you guys and what you're doing there in Kansas City?
I appreciate that, Ellis. We're highly active on social media, LinkedIn, but our website is ftwinvestmentsllc.com, and Kansas City is our main focus. Thank you for having me on and let me share some of these thoughts.
Logan, I tell you, man, it's been a highlight. Guys, Logan said so much of what I was talking about before. This idea of vision, vivid vision, is probably one of the best. It's a short thing. If you haven't laid out a vision for yourself, your company, like that is step one. Core values, and then golly, and then what he talked about, defined investment thesis. That could be a whole topic right there. Learning what to say no to.
Absolutely.
Logan, love you, brother. Thanks so much, man.
Love you too. Thanks for having me.
All right, so guys, I can't believe we have 2 rock stars coming on. This next guy is an absolute stud in the multifamily world right now. And, what I love about our 2 guests is that they're 2 completely different markets. Kansas City is a Midwest value add multifamily, C-class type stuff is what Logan's doing. And then we got Zach, who's in Phoenix, which is one of the lower cap rate markets. I don't want to say in the country, but it definitely is probably up there. It's not like the New York or like San Francisco, but in terms of a major metro, the cap rate is starting to lower. And they've in the last 2 years done $160 million of multifamily. I think 148. Zach, you can correct me, under management now in 2 years. And Zach, I'm so excited to have you here, man, because you guys have just taken off, and a lot of it has to do with the team that you guys have built. So welcome, brother.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Ellis. Really appreciate it, man. Thanks for the invite. And it's an honor to be on the same show here as Logan. I just caught the back end of that. So it sounds like obviously Logan is doing all the right things, but appreciate being on here with you guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man. So, okay, real quick, 30,000 foot view. You guys are in Phoenix. Tell our audience what you guys are up to right now.
Yeah. Thanks. So it's like you mentioned, I mean, we're locally based in Phoenix, so we're only focused on this market. Like you mentioned, we've bought a little over 1,000 units, about 160, 180 million the last couple of years. We have about 130 million under contract, close the next few months. So we've been very blessed to be able to create that foundation, like you were talking about, Ellis, and then scale from there. So, I mean, to give listeners a little bit of background, like I have no background or experience in real estate, like no family money or anything like that. So I was just a normal middle-class guy and quit my job in 2018, lived off savings for over a year to try to get into this. And it took 14 months when I quit the job to get the first deal. And we didn't even syndicate with like a tenant in common, a tick structure. But I met my 2 partners throughout that process, and we did that first deal together, and we've done every deal since then. So after that, we got that first one, and we were able to build out that at least the foundation as far as having the complementary partnerships, right, that complement your weaknesses. We're now getting to the point where we're trying to build infrastructure kind of like what Logan already has, where, we now have 3 full-time W-2 salaried employees, and we've been blessed to be able to scale. So yeah, we started out with a little tenant in common deal, and then we built a syndication platform, and then we're just in the process of really growing and building out the infrastructure here in Phoenix.
Wow. Are you full-time in this yet?
I am. Yeah, I am. Yeah. So all of us are full time. So the three principals, Robert, Bikron, and myself, all three of us quit our jobs. We have no other companies, no other W-2s. We actually converted to an S corp last year. So we all take W-2 salaries, which is nice now, where the company really can support you, full time. So
Right.
we're all 100% focused, and we're all local here.
So Zach, what was the biggest change, man? For we chatted for a while, and dude,
Yep.
I like Zach. By the way, is my hero, man, because you were working at like a senior living facility, like
Yeah,
just to
hospice
pay
company. I was
bills.
working as right, yeah, yeah. I was working at a hospice company. I was a marketer for a hospice organization, the director of marketing. I was making a good 6-figure salary and left that to kind of jump in to multifamily and make no money.
Yeah, yeah,
At
yeah. I
first,
remember you telling me
anyway.
your first deal and the way you structured it. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you're not getting paid. Why,
No,
why
I know.
would you do that deal?
No, I
And
know. I'm just kidding. It's going well now. We're blessed. But go
yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I didn't mean the deal wasn't good, but like you didn't take any
Yeah.
fees really. And I was like, well, how are you going to live off this? You're like, I'm going to make it work. And so, anyways, man, you have, and I'm just so. I mean, I love seeing this, but I'm curious. Like, we're talking about team.
Mhm.
What was things that you got, like what was the turning point, and try and be as practical as you can for people thinking about building high performance teams,
Yeah.
that where you went from, okay, we're doing a tenant in common, we're investors, to we're business owners? Because that I think,
Yep.
when I look at guys like you and I look at guys like Logan, the difference between those who talk about real estate and do a few deals to those who are really going to go to $1 billion,
Mhm.
and build real legacy in this business, doing something by treating this like a business. And so I want to know kind of the key things that you can point out that maybe we could replicate that you guys started doing.
Yeah, it's a great point, Ellis. A great question, because yeah, when you start out in this, just in general, and a lot of the viewers here probably see it on social media, is like everybody has their own personal brand, right? So I was like ZH multifamily, and Ellis has your brand, Logan has your brand, and you have all these different co-GPs, right, that come together and do deals, but you have like a bunch of different brands. And so initially it was kind of like, I want to do a goal, I have a goal, I want to do a deal, and let's find some people that can help us get the first deal done, right? And you're kind of quote unquote dating that entire time, and kind of seeing how you work together with people. How do you communicate? Do they have the same work ethic as you? Do you guys get along, right? It's important to like your partners, because you're going to talk to them pretty much every day. And so anyways, initially you go into it with that mindset, right? But as you start to evolve, and I guess for us anyways, you do get quote unquote married. And not only in the sense that you commit to each other as partners going forward, for future deals, and you commit to your role within the organization and within the deal itself, but you get married in regards to your branding and your logo as well. Okay, so my wife Grace, she does all our social media. She's really good at it. I'm not good at any of that stuff. So everything that we do is all her 100%. And she had really built up this other brand, ZH Multifamily, and Bikron had his Bright Investors, and Robert had his brand. But once we decided to get married, we all kind of shed that, become one unified thing, right? So everything we're doing is branding for each other. And that, I guess that's from like a psychological and an external perspective. But in regards to really viewing it as a company, Ellis, it goes back to, you have to view what is your strength. Because in the beginning, the first couple deals, I did pretty much, I did a little bit or most of every little category you can do. I was underwriting the deals, doing all the back office stuff, asset management initially. But you cannot scale that way, to your point, right? You might do some deals and that's great, but what's the next step? You have to find partners who have the complementary strengths and complementary skill sets that you have, so you can fill in your weaknesses and then really start to hit on all cylinders. Okay. So for me, like I have an MBA, I've taken the accounting classes, I understand underwriting, but I hate it. Okay. I hate sitting in front of spreadsheets. I want to be out talking to people, talking to investors, finding deals. So I found Bikron, who has an economics degree, a CPA, very strong financial analysis. And he made it very clear from the beginning. He said, Zach, I don't want to talk to anybody. I hate talking to people, but I like spreadsheets. Right. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. We're match made in heaven, and we get along really well. We both work hard. And I had found Robert, who has a construction background and really fulfilled that net worth liquidity requirements that we needed, because I didn't have net worth liquidity to sign on these loans, and so you find these complementary partners that have what you don't have, and you can also get along. And I mean, when I first started, Ellis, I probably quote unquote dated 7 to 8 different people. You know what I mean? And when I say dated, it means you go to these events, you go to meetups, you go to conferences, you find people who want to do it, and you have similar interests, and you decide, let's work together. Let's try to find a deal, right? And then you start talking to brokers, you start underwriting deals, and you'll start to get a sense, of is this the right person for me? Some people, they don't answer your phone calls. You can't get back to them. Some people say they're interested, but they're not really working hard. Other people, you get along awesome. They work really hard. I had nightly calls with one guy for like over a month. You know what I mean? Really good guy, still great friends. But it's at one point we're just like, we can't really help each other because we have the same exact skill set, right? And a guy needs something that you don't have and vice versa. So let's go our separate ways. So you have to find that. And it takes time.
Zach, I think that's right on, man. And you guys have done that. I'm curious because now even what you said, you're at 140. You got several in the pipeline. There's several business owners here who have teams. They've been in this industry for a while. What's taking you guys to the next level in terms of team, like performing at a high level? What are the systems you have in place if someone's at 100 and 150 and they want to go to 500? Like, what's it going to take for you guys to go to 150 to 500? Or what do you have to do differently in order to go from where you are now to what is your goal? What are you guys trying to get to? Do you have a target in mind?
Yeah. No, good question, Alice. It's a great goal, or it's a great question. And we're constantly evaluating that. So, our goal for 2021, which we set last fall, was to acquire 250 million of new multifamily in Phoenix in 2021. Okay. So we've been very fortunate and just been really blessed to have off-market deal flow like all year. Otherwise we wouldn't have done a deal yet. And so I think by the end of July or August, we'll be around like 230. So we're getting really close to hitting that mark. And so we've been talking about, we obviously want to focus and execute that first, but for 2022, our goal is to buy 1 billion of new assets in the Phoenix market in 2022. And so we're going to split 500 million. We want to syndicate because we think we can get close to flirting with that number this year for syndication if we keep going at this rate. And then we want to do 500 million for private equity. Okay, so just in the last 60 days, we've brought on 2 new full-time employees because as we're starting to bring on more deals, the biggest thing for us operationally is to make sure that our units are being renovated on schedule and on budget. Okay, so we hired Kaylee, our director of asset management, earlier this year, and she was previously our regional manager for our third-party management company here in Phoenix for over a year. Okay, so we already knew her for over a year as our regional manager. She knows our entire portfolio. She hired most of our on-site managers. So we basically just hired her from the PM company to be internal. That really buckled down a lot of our operations because as we started to scale, Bikram and I are so busy with the transactions back office. Robert was just running around walking units constantly. And now we've taken all the construction management in-house, Alice. That's been the biggest key too. And we couldn't have done that without starting to build out infrastructure and hire employees. Okay, so previously we were relying on third-party management to do all the renovations, which was fine at first. We were hitting pro forma. As we started to scale, we're like, you know what? I don't think these guys can keep up with the schedule or stay on budget because now we're renovating, at least 50 to 60 units a month across the portfolio, about 10 to 15 units per deal. So we hired Kaylee. That really helped to buckle down her managing all of our vendors, all of our construction crews, overseeing them. We just hired a construction coordinator whose sole focus is to walk units 40 hours a week, making sure that these are all staying on schedule, on budget. We just hired, he's starting Thursday this week, actually, a transactions and operations manager. And so basically he's going to have a pretty expansive role, but initially taking care of everything transaction related. Because right now, I'm really taking care of everything in regards to legal and lender checklists and all the different documentation that goes into this stuff. So it'll really offload a lot for me for these transactions as far as dispositions, acquisitions. And then on the asset management investor relations side, Alice, who's Bikram's fiance, she's basically working 50, 60 hours a week right now doing investor relations. No joke, just because we're having 150, 200 plus investors in every deal. It's a ton of communication. So he's going to really help reviewing PPMs, doing communication there, verifying wires, and then also help with asset management as far as, doing the draws for lender reimbursements and things like that. So that'll really help to free us up. Because I think you and Logan were kind of talking about it. And again, I missed the beginning, but to really scale and be efficient. And I realize this firsthand because I can easily get distracted and try to be the guy that tries to do everything, right? But it's not smart and it's not efficient. And so we really have to continue to hone in, okay, what is my highest and best use? Okay, what is my greatest skill set and what do I want to do? You know what I mean? Because even if you're good at something, but you hate doing it, it's not going to be sustainable. You know what I mean? And you have to have endurance, you know, mentally, emotionally, everything.
Right.
And so anyways, this just frees us up, right? It frees up the construction that's kind of on autopilot now. The back office is going to be on autopilot once we get our new guy trained. So I can focus on finding deals, finding equity, and Bikram can work on operations processes. Robert can focus on asset management.
Gosh, dude, you know what I'm hearing when I'm listening to you, man. It's kind of comical. And I want and excuse my French.
No, it's all good. I don't care. You lay it
how
on.
do you here's the question. Like you just said, I didn't have any real estate background, and then you listed off like 4, spots in your company that, you probably didn't even know the names of those spots.
No, you have no idea.
2 or 3 years ago, right?
No,
So, dude, for those who are like, I mean, how do you even figure? I think it's so encouraging, man. Of like, you just figure this stuff out as you go, and this is what it means. And talking about laying out your vision, because once as you have the vision, you can figure out the people that you need along the way, and it seems like that's what you guys are doing, man.
100%. No, you said it very well, Alice. And that's what people have to realize. And it applies obviously in not only multifamily, but in life in general, right?
Yeah.
You set the goal and you have faith and you continue to work toward it. And you're right. I mean, if you just keep grinding along, then things will start to pop up. You know what I mean? Opportunities that you may not have even realized were opportunities before because you weren't thinking in regards to your goal. You may start to see opportunities and you start to figure it out as you go along the way. So to be honest with you, I mean, this entire journey for me personally, I'm not talking about the organization, I'm just talking about me personally, as far as like pushing my own comfort zone and my own personal finances, is like, I'm just trying to stay above water. You know what I mean? I'm constantly staying above water and then keep pushing the comfort zone. You know what I mean? To take on new challenges. And through that, you gain the experience, you put yourself in these uncomfortable situations, which allows you to learn, gain confidence, and you're ready for more adversity. And so, I mean, it's funny because when you first start listening to real estate podcasts and you read the books, everybody talks about economies of scale, right? And that's why we love it, and everything gets easier. And it's true. We're really starting to see it. It's not rocket science, right? It's you have to be able to manage people, build systems, but it's not rocket science. So if you can find the right people to fulfill these roles and make sure you hold everybody accountable, be efficient, then yeah, you really can scale it. At the end of the day, it then comes down to finding the right deals that make sense, finding the equity, and then getting all your infrastructure built out so that's kind of on cruise control, so to speak.
Zach, I want to ask you this question before I let you out of here, man. Talking about going back to your man, deep faith, respect you as a brother. Like,
yeah, thanks.
What is, this idea of building companies and creating margin in your life and in your business from a kingdom perspective, man? Why does that matter to you? Why is that important, or is that important? And how is this coming alive in your own journey and walk with Christ?
No, it's a great question, Allison. It is very important. And somebody asked me this last week, and honestly, so the reason I'm doing this personally, like I love to be competitive, you know what I mean? And the reason I like real estate is it's not because of the money. Like I don't even spend my money really. I'm investing everything in the deals. Basically, we're saving all our money. It's not to buy stuff. It's really just the competition. And we really like how, real estate is almost like, it's almost like a scoreboard in a sense, because it shows how hard you can work and how much you can compete to achieve a certain level, among the competition. But the money really doesn't matter. For me, it's a very abstract goal. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I know that if I pound it hard right now, I mean, we just got married. Grace and I just got married 6 months ago. We're planning on having kids, starting next year. So we really want to build that foundation personally. But just looking at the world, I feel like I want to make a really big impact on society and really give exposure to Christ and kind of do his journey. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm like God's warrior in a sense, and I have a big purpose. I don't know what it is yet though, but I know that the bigger I build up my financial resources and my social network of resources, I'll be able to make a bigger impact down the road. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I think it'll be a combination of like business, media, politics, something like that. And great, I like this vehicle for where I'm at in my place in my life right now. You know what I mean? With real estate.
That's so well stated, man. If someone asked me the other day, so what's your 10 years, 20 years from now? Like, I'm like, I actually don't know the answer to that.
I don't either.
Like,
it's abstract.
I really don't. I just,
really it's kind of unraveling as you go, right? Because you're focused on right now, and you probably have like a year or 3 years, something like that. goals.
Right. No, I think that's so good, man. You know, like you can't get, you know, and think about a guy like Elon, you know, like a vision to go to Mars. You can't go to Mars without absurd amount of resources. So,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly. Yeah, you can. I mean, so yeah, it's all about that abundance mindset. The more you have, the more you can give, and you can make a big impact. Like if you think that there's nonprofits that are shady or that are donating money to places that aren't good, then you should start a huge nonprofit and go make a huge impact and be good. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, what we've seen in this country, you know what I mean, just the last 4 years has made me realize, like, you know what, it's good to have financial resources so I can go and figure out what that big goal is going to be. But if I can get enough resources now, then I can actually make a huge impact. You know what I mean?
that's
So
huge, man.
yeah.
Zach, before you go, I'm going to give you a chance. I want people to know if you're listening to this, you're looking to do bigger deals. I am doing a live webinar tonight on the 7 ways to profit from a real estate syndication. You know, watching you come in this, people say, this is inspiring. How do you get in? I want to show you, break down the 7 ways you can actually get paid in these deals. I'm going to post that link below. Make sure you guys go get signed up for that. If you're saying, hey, I want to do bigger deals, I want to get involved in bigger projects like Zach's talking about tonight, 5 p.m. Pacific, I'm going to be doing a training where I'm going to walk through 7 ways. Many of those ways, you don't need your own money to actually get in these deals. Zach talked about how they did their first deal was a tenant in common structure where he brought in someone else's capital. He found the deal. So there are ways to break in and start doing bigger deals. That's why we created the Kingdom REI community, so that you can take off pieces of these deals and grow faster. Tonight, 5 o'clock, I'll post the link now. But Zach, I want to give you a chance as well, man, before you go. Brother, you're talking about social capital, where you guys are at. I want people to follow you everywhere, man. So what's the best place to follow in your journey and to continue to learn from you, dude?
Yeah, thanks so much, Els. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks again. You guys can go to our website, rise48equity.com. So RISE48equity.com. You can email me, Zach at rise48equity.com. And if you go to our website, you know, you can go on Calendly, set up a call with me if you want to learn more. I'm always available to get on a call or meet up if you're local. So thanks again, Ellis. Really appreciate it, man.
Hey, Zach, Jeremy's on this call, and I got a feeling he's going to be like, how the heck did these guys find $150 million of off-market deal flow in the Phoenix market? And so we may be having a follow-up convo, man.
Yeah. No, I think I talked to your guy Samson several weeks ago too. So we need to all link up soon. Yeah.
Let's do it. You come to San Diego anytime soon?
You know what? We're actually going to be there next week because we're going to NMHC.
Okay. Yeah, dude. Well, I'm here, man.
We'll be there Tuesday, Wednesday. We're leaving Wednesday. We get there Tuesday morning. We leave Wednesday night next week. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's figure something out. I'm sure there's a lot happening there. Maybe we'll just come and join you guys on something.
Yeah. I don't know what to expect, honestly. So maybe if there's some type of event nearby, I'll try to get you invited over there. We don't have anything planned. I don't know what.
For sure. Sounds great. Okay. Awesome. I'm glad to know that's happening, man. So I'll see you next week.
Cool. Thanks, Els. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, wow, what a freaking amazing day. Like, this is why I love doing this. I mean, I'm the biggest learner. I'm the biggest beneficiary of these webinars. Listen, 7 ways to profit from a real estate syndication. I posted the link below. That's tonight at 5 o'clock. If you or someone you know is looking to break in and do bigger deals, make sure that they attend this webinar tonight. It's free. At the end, I'm going to invite those who are interested to a preview night for our Kingdom REI Mastermind. We're doing a virtual preview night on June 17th. And then we have a live in-person preview night in Frisco, Texas on August 1st. So we'll be talking about the details of that. But tonight, I'm showing you how you break in 7 ways, many of those without your own money, into these large deals. The reason I'm doing this is because this is like changed my life. What Zach just said about resources and building something big enough because he knows God has a bigger calling for his life is like my driving force. And that hit it so on the head for me. And so if a pastor can come in and do this and get started in these deals, I guarantee you, no matter where you're at, senior in college, you can do this too. So make sure you join tonight, 5 p.m. And if you can't make that tonight, email me. We'll be doing more webinars like that as well. Wow, what a fantastic day. I hope you see just the value of building a team and why this is so important and really growing and scaling your real estate portfolio. Anybody get big takeaways from today? Would love to hear before we get out, or questions Would love to bring maybe one person up. If you have a question, raise your hand. If you have specific questions about your own company or where you're at, be happy to bring you up and chat. If not, I'm going to pull somebody up here because I see somebody I want to chat with. Anybody want to raise their hand before I do it? Okay, great. Steven, if you're still here, type in the chat. I want to say hey to you, brother. I want to hear your biggest takeaways. Here's a guy who's built a team, who's really grown and scaled his business. I want to hear your biggest takeaways to learn from you today. If you're here, brother, just give me a little hi so I can bring you up. Okay, Steven must not be here. Oh, there he is. My man.
What's up, brother?
How you doing?
I'm well, man.
Dude,
How are
what
you?
was your, I mean, you guys have had tremendous success as well. Hearing these two guys speak, what are your takeaways? I'm just curious to learn from you as well.
Oh, I'm just psyched to continue to scale up. I mean, it's systems, it's processes, it's networking, it's putting God first. It's all the things that we all know, but into actionable, tangible steps. So, we're actually in a position right now where we're constantly reevaluating the business. How are we getting to a place where it's more systemized? How are we getting in front of more people? How are we telling the story? And I mean, all those bombs that these guys drop, right? It's just a good, healthy reminder of what we need to do on the day to day to get to the finish line, whatever that is for you. I mean, talking about doing $1 billion a year or maybe $1 billion total. But it's just the tangible, actionable steps that we all need to take. And
right.
And
Do you guys have a lot of that already? Kind of your systems processes detailed out, laid out, like, or is that something you guys are growing, developing as we speak?
No. So, I mean, we've been probably 36 months in the space, right? After we moved from the residential space, and we have process mapped. So we run EOS like you guys do. We have L10s every Monday morning at 9:00 that start with prayer. And then at 9:30, we go into our 90-minute L10. And then we do our same pages on Fridays with the management team. And then Wednesday at 10:00, we do our process mapping meetings where we take every single process in the business and run it through a lucid chart, process map it, and then tweak them as we go, right? I mean, things are always it's a living, breathing document. But yeah, all of those things have been kind of put together in a way that our whole team knows, all the way from the VTO and core values, all the way down to how do we onboard an investor from a subscription agreement to a wire.
So on the Wednesday mapping, I love that idea. So you can't go every process every day. So you just break down a couple processes each Wednesday, or how does that work?
One process a week from 10 to 11. Our whole team is on the phone, and our COO is, in charge of the lucid chart map, and we say, okay, let's do the sales process today. Right. And that starts all the way with the top of the funnel, all the way to the bottom of the funnel. And what's the goal at the end of the sales process for them to wire money? And sometimes you have some sub processes in there that you'll just say, okay, this is a sub process. We'll come back to that later. Right. But you get real granular, and it's nice for the whole team to be able to talk about, even though this is a sales role, where does the admin person jump in? Where does the investor relations person jump in? Where are there automations that we can put in place?
Yeah.
And then you kind of all talk about it. And what I love the most about it is you have people that are not in that lane giving input on to how the process should go. So it's kind of like having a third party. Like, I'm the sales guy, right? But my admin person who does investor relations sees it and goes, oh, well, hey, there's a little bit of a disconnect between what you're telling me to do and what I'm actually doing. And this is why I'm actually doing it this way. Because in my mind's eye, it works like this. But in the tangible every day, she's doing it like this. So just kind of
I'm sold on Lucid, whatever you call it, Lucid Chart Wednesdays, by the way. Pete's, we're totally starting to implement this. So where do I go? Where did you learn? Like, this is what I'm talking about, guys. Like, you learn, you figure stuff out, you implement. No one ever taught me this in college, something about this. So I learned from business owners actually doing it. Where did you go to actually figure out this process? Is there a book on this? Like, where can I go to learn this?
No, so we hired a company, Sharper Business Solutions. Gary Harper runs it, also a believer, by the way. and he implements EOS into people's businesses, but he has some other like Six Sigma stuff that he ties into it. And one of the things that he always said, which resonated with me, is you'll never get out of a job that you don't have process mapped. Like if you're an owner or you're doing a particular job, if you can't write it down and have a replicable process for it, you'll never be able to hire for that position and never be able to take yourself out of that role.
100%.
Part of that was him saying, hey, look, this is what you're going to do. And then he taught us how to process map through it. And on a day where I can share my screen, where it's not like a big group like this, I'll show you kind of what it looks like. And some of them are very complex and some of them are very simple. But it takes you, and then they run into each other, right? So it's like process A goes to process B to process C. So you start with kind of, this is where the process starts and this is where it terminates. And it always starts and terminates on the previous and next process map. So it's very linear.
Yeah, that's excellent, man. No, that's really, I'd love to see that. Maybe we can bring you in to show that again. Dude, I miss you, man. I'm gonna give you a call later this week, man. We got some things coming up I wanna let you know about. So I'll give you a holler. Thanks so much. So real quick, I'll give you a chance. What's your company name? What's your website so people can check it out?
Yeah, so Integrity Holdings Group, and you can go to integrityhg.com and sign up for the investor club and see we have a donor advised fund where we give a portion of every single deal that we do to a kingdom building nonprofit. And you can see all the, you click on the Invest with Purpose tab and you can kind of see all the charities that we're supporting. We expect that just the ones that we've partnered with so far will give over $1 million away in the next 3 years.
Amazing. Who do you use for your donor advised fund real quick? That's something I might do.
NCF, National Christian Foundation.
Yeah. Awesome. Stephen, man, love your brother. Great to hear from you, man.
Yes, you as well. Oh, somebody real quick said, how do you structure your weekly prayer meeting? Just in the beginning, I get together with the whole team, ask them for prayer requests, tell them what ours are, pray over the team. And then we have like a 15-minute Bible study that I kind of run as the visionary. It's part of my weekly role to come up with something that we're going to pray on this week.
Hey, Stephen, how's South Carolina treating you?
Oh man, it is nice.
Steven recently moved to my home state, South Carolina. I'm here in San Diego. You loving it, dude?
I mean, it's like being on vacation every day.
Where do you live at again? What city? Or what?
It's Bluffton. It's right over
Bluffton,
right over
South
the
Carolina.
bridge from Hilton Head. Yeah, it's gorgeous, man.
Wow. Okay, I'll have to come
Definitely,
visit you, man.
sure.
Yeah, much better New Jersey. There's no doubt about that. Awesome, dude. Well, blessings to you and your fam, man. Glad you guys are enjoying it.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Good chatting with you.
Okay, guys. One more time. If this is not for you, then I encourage you to share this with somebody, because tonight is life-changing. Could be for some folks. The 7 ways to profit from real estate syndication. Share this. Let people know about this. And again, for those interested, we're going to invite them to a preview night for our mastermind, Kingdom REI, which is growing like crazy, which is really fun. Deals happening all the time. I'm actually partnering. We're about to do a 20-unit apartment building here in San Diego with a member from our group who found the deal, and we're bringing in the capital, and it's going to be really fun. So check that out. Guys, I love doing this. Love to hear your feedback. And help us by sharing this. thekingdomrei.com, thekingdomrei.com/live is how you register for these, of course. Shoot us if you have questions, if you have things you want to talk about on this webinar, info@thekingdomrei.com. And here's the last thing. I am looking, and we're hiring. I need a incredible executive assistant. Like someone who is off the charts when it comes to details, when it comes to follow-up, plus if they're good at graphic design. But we're looking for that position. So if you have someone in mind, also email us at info@thekingdomrei.com, because that is a position we are looking to fill in the next 30 days. Things are growing, and we really are trying to create our better processes. And part of that is a good assistant. And my wife doesn't have to do all of those things. So anyways, I love doing this. I love you guys. Have a great rest of the week. Go crush it. Commit to building a team. Vivid Vision, the resources we chatted about today. Principles 2.0 by Ray Dalio. I'm going to go download that app. The Traction book by Gino Wickman. Vivid Vision by Cameron Harold. Just go buy these resources if you don't have them. And then Stephen talked about Sharper Business Solutions and NCF, National Christian Foundation, if you want to start your donor advised fund. And of course, the KingdomREI.com, the real estate mastermind for kingdom-minded investors, really serious about growth through joint ventures and collaborations. You're one connection away. Don't forget it. Love you guys. We'll see you next week. Ciao.